Hello and welcome to today's crypto review video where we look at Centrifuge. Now Centrifuge is a project that is developing on Substrate, basically the Polkadot ecosystem as you're well aware, which is unlocking liquidity for real world assets. Now what do we actually mean by that? Well, Centrifuge bridges assets like invoices, royalties and real estate to DeFi. So essentially, borrowers can finance their real-world assets without banks or other intermediaries. Now let's find out how does it actually work. Well, the way it works is that we need to use what are so-called Tinlake pools. Now unfortunately, all of the current Tinlake pools are full, so we need to wait for a new one to open up or more space in existing ones. Now Tinlake pools are backed by real-world assets such as invoices, residential real estate loans or trade receivables. Financing those assets on Tinlake requires a legal structure that gives the investors a legal claim on the assets. To ensure this recourse, each asset originator sets up a legal structure commonly used in the traditional financial system, a special purpose vehicle called SPV. Now the collateral for the individual assets are assigned to this legal entity to ensure investors have a legal claim to the underlying assets, and the assets are held independently. Now, from the asset originator, which are also known as bankruptcy remote. The interest in Tinlake, as most DeFi protocols, is accrued every second, so you earn yield every moment you are invested. That means that if you invest 10k DAI into a fully deployed Tinlake pool with a 10% drop APR, you will receive 11,000.05 at the end of the year, equal to a 10.52% APY. Now the effective drop yield may be slightly lower than the drop APR due to the pool's cash drag. See below in the links of the Centrifuge explanation of how this actually works by checking the description of this video. Now also when you invest, you also receive radial rewards on top. Now let's talk about the asset originator and the asset types. Now based on the asset type, so let's say you are most interested in real estate bridge loans. You understand the asset and feel more comfortable with a 5% drop APR given your trust in real estate. Now the pool overview tab will be your first resource that helps you check out the asset originator. So let's start below where you'll find a short introduction to the asset originator and the asset type. In the header you'll find the most important metrics for this pool: asset type, asset maturity, drop APR and pool value. Now the asset maturity tells you how liquid your investment may be. The maturity date of every financing lets you know when the asset originator is obliged to pay back the loan. Upon repayment, investors will always be able to redeem before an asset originator can use the funds for new financings again. Thus, you can see the average maturity as a soft lockup period, and the reason it is soft is because you technically still can withdraw those funds from the pool reserve if the pool reserve has money to draw or other investors want to invest into the pool. Now let's also talk about the team. Now most of the team members are actually based in Germany, in Berlin. If you go to their LinkedIn pages or if you follow them on Twitter, you'll be able to see that. Now they're all contributors to the project rather than controlling it. Some people are designers, some are devs, some deal with marketing and others with the community management. So it's great to see a wide variety of contributors who believe in Centrifuge and want to see it grow. You can follow some of them on Twitter or check out their LinkedIn profiles to validate their work experience. Now, before we talk about the tokenomics, the next point I want to summarize is with regards to the taking part in the actual Centrifuge ecosystem. So to actually be able to do that and use the Tinlake pools, you need to link your securitized account to your Ethereum wallet. Then you need to complete KYC through Securitize, but keep in mind that if you're from the US, you need to be an accredited investor. So unfortunately, the standard restrictions apply due to the legal requirements. And third, you need to sign the subscription agreement. Once you do that, you can take part in those Tinlake pools. Now let's talk about the tokenomics, which is everyone's favorite topic, as many times the tokenomics can determine the price or value of an asset, as you well know, when trading on cryptocurrency exchanges, and it's very critical when it comes to your everyday retail investor. So to actually quote the team, the initial Centrifuge token generation event was executed by the Centrifuge Network Foundation, and the initial distribution created 400 million CFG tokens, which were distributed to the foundation and initial contributors, including the core team, investors, and validators. Now, since the genesis, roughly 25 million additional tokens have been minted as rewards for adoption. So one last point to mention is that there is an annual inflation of 3% to reward validators running these nodes. So in total, we've got 425 million as the total supply plus the annual inflation which we're going to have. Now, as you probably know, there is actually a token sale coming up, and this is due next week at the time of doing this video on CoinList. Now, 34 million CFG will be sold during the token sales with two different options. One with 17 million getting unlocked in July of 2021 at a higher price per token, which is 55 cents, while the other 17 million are vested throughout a period of 2 years. So it's following the parachain auctions model at a price of 38 cents per token. Now, one final point to cover is that the Centrifuge will also launch their Canary network, Altair, on Kusama if they win the parachain auctions, of course. As all potential parachain participants, they have to start as a parathread before they can upgrade to a parachain pending the winning of the crowd sale. Now, Altair combines the industry-leading infrastructure built by Centrifuge to finance real-world assets on Centrifuge chain with their newest experimental features before they go live on Centrifuge chain. Now, Altair is built using Substrate and will have nearly the same code base as Centrifuge chain, just like Kusama is to Polkadot. It is an experimental network for users who want to test the bounds of asset financing. From art NFTs to undiscovered assets, Altair enables users to tokenize their most experimental assets and finance them. It is the next step for anyone looking to unblock financing for their assets. Now, next, let's talk about the AIR token, which is related to Altair because, of course, you may be interested in that. Now, the AIR token is the native token of Altair with basic functionality delegated to Kusama. Now, the AIR token has no limits. It can become more than a traditional network token. The AIR token powers Altair with the utility of governing the development of Altair, paying for the transaction fees, securing the chain, and rewarding adoption. Now, the token distribution. At Genesis, the Altair network will take a snapshot of the balances on Centrifuge chain to distribute AIR tokens to CFG token holders on a 1-to-1 ratio. For each 1 CFG, you will get 1 AIR. The total supply will be 425 million at launch, which is going to match with Centrifuge. So we can see here that ChainX are not the only ones with the airdrop idea in mind. So well done to Centrifuge for thinking about that. Now, for participating in the crowd loan, Altair will reward participants 50 plus AIR for each 1 KSM locked. Now, the exact amount of AIR distributed to each KSM locked will depend on the price of the parachain slot and participation in the crowd loan. 25% of the reward will be unlocked, while the remaining amount will be distributed to crowd loan participants over the length of the parachain slot. Next, let's take a look at their GitHub project. So looking at their GitHub, we can see that there's plenty of activity across all of their different repositories within their project. However, the team of devs working on Centrifuge is quite small, only 4 now, but there could be more contributing which didn't actually register. Now, my final thoughts on Centrifuge to close it off is that it has a lot of upside potential with their link to the real world assets through Tinlake pools, as well as being one of the early to develop on Substrate. Thus will receive more support from other Polkadot eco projects, including Polkadot themselves, and that's a big bonus in my books. Now, let's keep an eye out on them and follow their activities to see how they're doing and their progress as always. Now, if you want to learn more, check out the links to Centrifuge in the description of this video, and as always, just to remind you, this is not financial advice, it's done for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.